This video is sponsored by Akua Mother Care. Great stuff for great kids.
My name is Mrs. Akua. I am a mother of 3 beautiful kids. I'm a friend and a sister. I live in the States and I'm a nurse. I'm a psych nurse. I realized I was pregnant with my first baby. It was around 2012. There was this Hurricane Sandy. It had hit New Jersey very hard. So during the time I was in school doing my second degree undergrad, and I was dating, school stuff. I was dating this guy. So during that time, schools were shut down due to the hurricane. So that was when he would come over. Long story short, I got pregnant. But then when I found out, I wasn't feeling well. I was running. I had diarrhea. So my period was normal and I took a pregnancy test and it was negative. Then I still wasn't feeling good. So it was around first week in December of 2012, I went to the ER because I kept having the diarrhea. And then they were like, I should pee in the cup. So they do a pregnancy test. I said, no, I already did the test. We went back and forth for a little bit, 5 minutes. And the nurse was like, go ahead and do it. So I did it and it came back positive. That was when I found out I was pregnant with my first child. With my second pregnancy, my first daughter was 3 months. And same thing, my period had come, it was normal. And tummy aches again. I did a pregnancy test for that time. It still came out negative. So then I went to the ER with my child. I quite remember she was in a car seat and then I drove to the ER. I got there and they asked me if I was pregnant. Did I think I was pregnant? I said no, but I just don't feel good. So then we did a pregnancy test again and it came back positive. That was when I found I was pregnant with my son, AJ. And at the time I was scared because firstborn is already 3 months and I'm pregnant again. But prior to that, I remember I said a prayer before I turned 25. I told God that I wanted 2 kids. So as the news came and then they told me I was pregnant, all I said, I looked up and I said, God, I was joking. I just said in my head. But then I knew what I was thinking at the time because even though I said it, I didn't mean it. I only said at the time because I grew up as an only child. So I love kids. I had always wanted kids at a very early age. But anyway, that's how come I found out I was pregnant with my second. With my third, the very day that we had the intercourse, that day I knew I was pregnant. I prayed to God and I told God that this is it. So with that, I prayed for him. It is different. So even later on, I didn't go to the hospital to check, nothing. I just knew I was pregnant. And then I was. My first pregnancy journey, I quite remember I was still in school at the time. And I was bent on graduating regardless of what it took. So I would take my belly to class and it was, you'd have people on the campus looking at you like you're crazy kind of thing. With the first pregnancy, first few months with Ariella, I didn't throw up. It wasn't easy, but I don't really remember me being sick. And even if I felt sick, I couldn't afford to be sick because I had school, I had work. So I didn't really let it hit me down. With the second pregnancy, I remember after I found out that I was pregnant, I went back again for the prenatal visit. And the doctor came to me. It was an actual doctor and then 2 resident doctors. And then they said that it was an ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic meaning that the baby was growing outside of my womb. And so they said they would have to do a DNC, take it out of my womb. So they would schedule me for me to come. As they were saying all those English, I was just sitting there. I knew what was going through my head. And in my head, I was telling God, no, this can't be. I cannot have an ectopic pregnancy. God can't give me something and take it away. So I didn't take in the word that they said, even though they had scheduled me. So I went back home, and then I said a prayer, and I said, the baby is there regardless. I don't care what the doctors are saying. I told you, God, that I want 2 kids before I turn 25, a girl and the boy. And at the time, I didn't even know what the gender was. But the fact that I had told God that I wanted a boy, I knew it was a boy. And that was just my faith. I had some crazy faith at the time. So they scheduled me, they kept calling me to come. I never showed up. So I stayed pregnant till about 7 months. I remember I was sitting on the floor of our living room at the time, feeding Ariella, and blood just came out. I was bleeding, and a huge thing fell out. So at the time, I was scared. And said I had lost the baby. So I called it 911. Ambulance came, and then they rushed me to the ER. And I just kept praying. They just came back, and then they were like, "Oh, I was the one that they said it was ectopic, and I didn't come back." Blah blah blah. So they came back to say the baby is still there. I didn't lose the baby, because honestly, when I saw the blood, I thought I had miscarried my boy. But then I had so much faith to the point where I kept telling God, say, He can't give me something and take it away. Like, that's not who He is. So lo and behold, the baby is still there, and today he's 6 years old. So that was with his pregnancy. With my third was the toughest pregnancy. It was tough. I could smell everything, anything. Nausea, vomiting. I couldn't eat. Nothing could sit in my stomach. For the first 3 months, it was hell. But my husband was very supportive. He didn't know what was going on. I mean, he's a new dad. So every time I'm throwing up, Bibi Ayenko hospital, she would go to the ER. I'm like, isn't it Bibi Ayenko ER? Do you get? So he was learning as well. But then it was funny for me to see him go through that. But the first 3 months of my third pregnancy was tough. Then the second trimester, it was okay. Everything had calmed down. And then, till I had him, Delivery for my first daughter. I got into labor on a Wednesday, and my water broke. So packed my bags, called 911. I was with a friend at the time, luckily. So she did the calling and all that, and we went. So we went to the hospital. They said I had dilated about 2 centimeters, but you have to go all the way to 10 before the baby comes. So I was laying there, and I dilated to about 5 centimeters, and I wasn't going any further. They tried everything. So it was a Wednesday evening. Come Thursday, still in labor, nothing. And as you can see, I'm very small, and then the baby was weighing 9 pounds at the time. So I went into labor with a plan that I was going to push my baby out, as any new mother would, dream of, as a Hebrew woman, that whole thing growing up in an African home. But it didn't happen for me that way. So Friday comes, and they're like, no, they would have to take me to emergency C-section, because the baby's head was down, but then she shifted position, and she had was it fever or something? There was something that she was having. So emergency C-section, that was when they took me into the theater. And then so with the second one, my first girl and then my second, they are only a year apart. They are both born in August, so literally a year and a week apart. So with him, it was a repeat C-section, because the scar had healed, but then there was no way I could push the baby, they said. So I wanted this C-section because I've already been through it. So with the third one, it's 5 years after. Yes, 5 years after. With that one, I wanted a C-section because I've had it 2 times. There's no way. I mean, there's a way. There's something called VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean. People do that, but I didn't want to do that. So I opted for the C-section again. Not because, as people think, that it's the easier option. No, C-section is not It's not easy, it's tough. So I opted for it because, I've been through it twice. I might as well just go through it for the third time. Even though it's scary, I was scared because this is a new doctor that I was seeing apart from the first two and all that. And then cutting through 2 incisions already just to get to the baby, it's pretty scary. So when you see a new mom or a mom who's had C-section, don't think that it's easy for them just because they don't want to push. Because, there's this stigma about women with C-section. People who go through natural birth, say certain things like, oh, they want to see a child. Who says that? So all that needs to stop. Just when you know a mom, just support her regardless of the decision. You don't know what the person has been through that came to that decision that they've made for them. And at that point, it's just life and death. And if that's the only option to save a baby, hey, why not? So, yeah. With my first pregnancy, I was in labor for a long time, so I was very happy when they took her out. The minute they took her out, they brought her to me for like 2 seconds, and then they had to rush her to the NICU. And then they also rushed me somewhere else, to the ICU, I think. It was very comforting. After all the pain, you finally get to see your child you've carried for 9 months and all that. You forget about the pain. Honestly, you forget about it. Even though it's there, you forget about it for a minute just to embrace it. For my second, I was happy because that was the one that they said that it was an ectopic pregnancy. So with him, I call him my miracle baby. And I was very happy. He's very special. For my third one, my husband, it was new to him, as I said earlier on, and he's very on pemoja. He doesn't like blood stuff. All that, it freaks him out. So even though it freaked him out, he was willing to come into the theater to be there with me and be very supportive. And I've been through the experience. I saw him, I was happy. But then seeing him, my husband, like smile, oh my God, I have a son now, biological son. That was very heartwarming. It was very nice. So, yeah. Help. So with the first one, no, I didn't get help. With all of the, okay, let me start from the first. With the first one, no. I was 22, about turning 23, very young, new mom. I didn't know what to do. And, even before that, it was just Google. Google was my friend. Google. So no help. It was me. And then the baby, C-section, it was tough. Showering the baby, because even with C-section itself, you can't take a shower after, unless a couple of days when they take out the staples or whatever it is that they used. So you can't take a full bath. You can clean up, but you can't take a full bath. And then obviously with the baby, if the navel, so the full man into me jarino. And so it's like, there's this pain here, me trying to breastfeed, or even me trying to carry the baby, 9-pound-old baby with a scar. It's tough. Sometimes even walking from the kitchen to the bedroom alone could take about 10 minutes. Something that you could do just like that, just because of the pain of the incision. You can't walk fast, you can't laugh, you can't fart. There's a lot of things you can't do when you get home. In the hospital, the nurses, obviously, they helped, they'll show you what to do. But and to say fear, because in Morpho said they're almost and Kolani are different. Back home, Becca said guna safe and so share and he say, all those kind of things. Bonin and Cassandra. It's just jarring over baby. But then with all that, and girl, no, Rebecca say Mimi and to say, not only and to Becca say, all those kind of things. So it was tough. But with the second one, I had felt like I've been there, done that whole dang. My kind of like a guru kind of thing. Even though it was a C-section, at that time it was tougher because now I have a toddler trying to walk, and I have a newborn crying. This one wants me to pick her up. This one wants me to pick him up. And I'm here with the surgery. I couldn't do it. So it's kakra. And honestly, it's the special grace of God. Because if you ask me, and as people always ask me, how did you do it? I can't give an answer. I can't pinpoint that I read this book, or I feel like motherhood, every pregnancy is different. And with motherhood, you learn as you go. With my kids, even though they will tell you not to put them on their tummy because of SIDS, I'm not even supposed to be saying this on camera, but I did. Because so motherhood is nobody can tell you how to raise your child. And when people come to me for tips, I always tell them go with the flow, because I breastfed, I gave formula. Someone wants to exclusively breastfeed, but yeah, that's just sidetrack. But with the third one, I had a lot of help. I was able to stay home for a whole year, because the first two, on the run, on the go, school, work, kids, school, work, kids, no time. But luckily, thank God, for the third one, I stayed home for a whole year with my son, with all kids. Yeah. So piercing, when my first child was a girl, piercing in the States, they don't do it for you right there in the hospital as compared to Ghana. So I think she was about 3 months, and then took her to the mall. That's how she got her ears pierced. And I cried. I couldn't watch it, honestly. I couldn't watch it because of the pain she was going through. And she was older, you know, not older, but it would have been different if they did it in the hospital as compared to take her home 3 months. And yeah, I couldn't watch it. With the circumcision, they did it in the hospital. And I didn't watch it too because I couldn't. But then when they come, obviously they'll put like the gauze around it. They'll advise you to put like Vaseline. It's something else we call it there, but it's just like Vaseline that you put it on until it heals. Yeah. With depression for the first two, I think I did, but I didn't know that I was going through that. I didn't know that it was called depression. I was thinking the pain was more like I was crying more because of the situation, because I was a single mother and all that. So honestly, there was no time to even be depressed, and I didn't want the kids to see me cry. So usually I'll put them to bed, and then I'll go sit in my car. My car was my best friend at the time. I'll cry. And then I would pray. But then, as I said, there was no time for that because they were in school. I was in school as well, and I had to work. Sorry. So I think I went through it, but I just didn't know it was. And you know, in the African community, there's nothing like depression. You can't be depressed. You know, you tell somebody you're going through something, because well, they're depression, maybe they're vampire. You know, that kind of thing. You can't open up. And I couldn't open up to anybody. Now I can talk about it and even laugh about it. But back then, I couldn't talk about it. Because there's no time to sit down and mope. You have 2 kids looking up to you. You're going to sit there and cry. What are they going to do? And they have faith in you. They're relying on you. You're a mother. So it was always at nighttime. That's when I cried. I could cry till the morning. And then they would ask me, I always say, oh, mommy's sick, mommy's head is hurting or something. I always find an excuse. They can't, there was no way that I could even say they can't afford to go to school. I had to find it. I had to do what I had to do to pay for daycare because I personally had to go to school. I had to go to work. So I went through it a lot, but I just didn't know what it was called. I knew that was depression, but I didn't know that was what I was going through. I thought it was just the pain and then from the breakup and me struggling as a single mom at the time. For the third one, I was staying home with them. My husband would go to work, the two other kids would go to school, and then I was with the baby. Depression, I don't think so. Not because me told me, obviously, no, me told me, I lie, but it wasn't because of that. It was more that I felt like everything was coming together for me, and staying home is also not easy. As a stay-home mom, it's not. People think, oh, what if you when you're here? No, you have the baby, you have to clean up, make sure the two kids are done with the things that they have to do, go to school, come back. My husband, meals, and with even meals, thank God he cooks as well. So everything, I was in pressure to do a lot. Like, yeah, it's not like if I say make free my back. No, I don't have that kind of marriage. It was just go with the flow, pretty much, yeah. So the whole scenario of my single momhood was tough in the sense that, again, I have two kids that depend on me and myself. I was very determined. I initially, growing up, wanted to be a doctor. And so after I had the two kids and then medical school at the time, it wasn't adding up. So I decided to take a different route into nursing. And now, thankfully, things have changed. Nurses can prescribe medication as well. That's a nurse practitioner. So that's the route that I'm going. But then again, I couldn't fulfill my dreams of medical school. And I don't regret it. I love what I do now. But at the time, it was tough because even though my mom was there, it's in the States, everyone is working, you know, like, to me, Janet Jimaho, and show, you know, she also has bills to pay, and like, I totally understand because I was dealing with it myself, so I knew how it is. So it was them going to daycare, me going to school. If schools was closed, they would go to the babysitter. And as now I look back and I say that God doesn't give us anything we can't handle. Honestly, during the time, here and there, I had help with my friends. They were my co-workers at the time, and then we became friends from there. Buki and Tosin, I always mention their name because they would stop what you're doing just to pick up my kids from school for me. They helped me a lot, I'm sorry. And I had friends. I was the only child. I'm the only child, so I don't have that big sister to look up to, brother, nothing. So I don't know how to put it in words, but it was tough. I don't know how I did it, honestly. It was just by the grace of God. Because sometimes when I would be thinking, hey, want to go find mommy, and where I was going to school at the time was an hour and a half away from home. So if I get out of class around 5:30, school for the kids end at 3, but then I was paying for aftercare. And aftercare, they can be in school till 6. The minute it passes 6:05, you start paying late fees for every 5 minutes. I remember one time, I got to the school at 6:30. Misika come home na $50. Mommy still betting me late fee. Hey. And I gave it to her. And now I can laugh about it, but at the time, I've given her the $50. What do? There was no financial help. It was just me and the kids, literally. And up to now I have financial help because of my husband. But at the time, the kid's father totally ignored, everything, every burden, everything, literally, from head to toe. And I can boldly say this on camera because it happened. No help whatsoever. So it's like living from paycheck to paycheck. They pay you, I buy my books, buy little groceries, pay their tuition, their daycare, whatever it is, and then I'm left with nothing. And it's another cycle, back to square one, And I don't wish because it's made me who I am today. But if I had little help, I would have been done with school way before. I didn't graduate with my classmates. I was supposed to graduate in 2013 for my second undergrad, because I did associate in pre-med because I wanted to be a doctor, and then that. So I had to graduate in 2014 with my undergrad, and my mate had gone ahead of me because of the pregnancy. But I didn't let that stop me. I'm just saying this to say that whatever it is that anybody wants to do, as long as you're determined, you can do it. As long as you're like, don't let kids hold you back. If you're a single mom watching me, or a heartbreak, or whatever it is, just be focused. Pray to God. Ask God for direction. And that's what I did. Any other challenges about motherhood would be for my son, my first son at the time. It was challenging for me because with a girl, we could play dress up. I could teach her things. But with him, I can still teach him things, but I was praying to God at the time that it wouldn't be me single motherhooding him, or single parenting him, let me say it that way. Single parenting him for a longer time, where there's so much you could teach a boy. I say, I didn't have a father figure in my life. My mom was a single mother raising me as well. And with him, I just prayed for that manly figure for him. And so that was one of the challenges, because some questions or and there are things that he would want to do, jump here and there, and playing soccer or teaching things like I had to do it because to him, oh dear girl, but to me, like, I can't teach you. Tennis na kwami limbo. No, my better. What I say. So that was one of those challenges I faced with them. Another one was also the question of, now they've stopped asking, but at the time they wanted to know who their dad was, kept asking, and I didn't know what answer to give them. And I would say this, that many people think that single moms decide to be single moms, like you say. Nobody wakes up and thinks that she's going to be a single mother. There are some people who make the conscious effort, say, I want to have a child and then raise them. That's different. But then many that I've come across with that share their stories with me, it's more like they were in a relationship that was leading to something that had to end for whatever reason. And so people say, oh, you knew who he was, so why did you lay down to have kids with him? No. Obviously, these things are not like planned. Nobody sleeps and wakes up saying, oh, and then I want to be a single. No, it's life. It's life. It happens. And as it comes, you just have to take it as it goes. So please, I'm just pleading on society. Let's be easy. Let's go easy on single mothers, because many people can't tell you the story. They can't even share with you what they're going through. At the time, I couldn't talk about it. Now I can talk about it and even laugh at my pain, as some may say. But at the time, it's too much. It's too much to contain. You're already dealing with the bitterness of the separation. Now you have to raise the kid from that same person that gave you that pain. And so this is how I saw it. I took it as God has given me that work. To both of us, I'm doing my part. At the end of the day, if God should come and ask whoever it is, did you do yours? That's between him and God. But for you and for us, let's do what Yamidiyama. Because being able to get pregnant alone is a blessing. There are a lot of people who can't conceive, and it's my prayer day in day out for them. And so for us single mothers, single moms, let's see it as say, or take the pain onto the kids, or see them say papa, or even insult the father to the kids. That's one thing I never did. No. Because Mehune said, hey, Juma, God gave to both of us. I've decided to do mine regardless of what it takes. He's decided not to do it. That's his decision between him and God. So let's try and take that. It's hard. Then again, I had to pray to God to take the bitterness away from me. I say it now to make it look easy. I know it's not. It's not. But it's not something that just comes. It's gradual. It took time. It took me a year. So you get there. Just tell God about it, and don't take the bitterness on the kid, or papa not. No, leave him. Joys of motherhood. It's rewarding. I can't find the words for it, but it's like, let me take it back to single momhood. Regardless of what I was going through, it's just when I get back in my car, whether it's from work or school or wherever it is, and I'm just going to pick them up from either the babysitter or school, it's how they even run to come, mommy. That alone is just like, it calms me down. And the minute that I'm able to do something that they've asked for, and even if I don't have at that minute, I make sure that I get it. And then the joy, the excitement when they get to open their presents. Because growing up, be a present. So, I don't think I did, but just to give them that, it's very, very, very exciting. And with the third one, it's like how they're together. Like, we don't see in our household, we don't see where Papa and Koen. No, their dad is my husband, because he is physically there. And so to see the kids, like 3 of them, when I was pregnant, they would, touch my belly to speak to their brother. We went to the hospital checkups together. And then he came, and they're just so overprotective of him, and it's very nice. I can't find the words to describe it, but it's just nice. And I get dialogue, hey, what will be answer? Hey, will be hey, wamba, and that too. Yeah, sometimes I get nice, cause yeah. But it's very nice. It's very rewarding that God gave me these kids to take care of them. Like me, I can barely take care of myself at a time before I became a mom. And so for God to trust me with not 1, 2, 3, and counting, because I want more kids, I thank him for that every day. Yeah. Okay. So the backstory, my story. I was a single mom of 2 kids. And during my single momhood, I single parented them financially, emotionally, physically, everything. I was just their mom and their dad at the time. And with African society, there's just stigma with single moms. Hey, do I want to cry when you'll be worried? Now I will too. I got that. Somebody told me that. Send me you'll be worried me. And during those times, honestly, I wasn't giddy praying for a husband. At the time, I wasn't looking for love because I had felt like I've seen it all. I just wanted to finish school, and then I know that at least I have my kids. So just be a working mom and be with my kids. So my number one prayer topic wasn't to even find a man. It was that God should help me. I mean, we're school, no? The nursing school itself. Because nursing school is tough. And during all that, I met my husband. And with him, honestly, it wasn't even about, say, when he told me that it wasn't about my beauty or my body shape that attracted me to him. It was how I took care of my kids. And so something that the devil had meant for bad or whatever it is, that was what attracted me to him. Because at the time, he didn't have kids. So there was something about what I did, how, like, they were my everything. I put them first. And when I meet you and I start talking to you, I let you know, say, this is what I come with. You know, it's nothing to hide. I can't hide them. So he knew from the very beginning. But then it was something that attracted me to him. And I'm just saying this to say that there are lots of single moms there who feel that, oh, my old one, my old two, even three, me no be but it's not, it's just God's grace. Honestly, it's just God's grace. And even though that wasn't my number one prayer topic, I still prayed for a man who had no kids. Some may call it selfish, but I did that because I was going through the stress of somebody else not even taking care of, you know, them. Then I feel na me person me pull be or one bar. Then the stress from that corner, no. I no. So I told a friend at the time that this is what I want. So we are what about them? Because what would so obviously be our own never foul. And I said no. This is what I want. And I know whom I've told, which is God. And I wasn't in a rush to get no. It wasn't something that was, I have to know. If anything, it was after I had AJ. I was engaged at the time to be married. But then I called off the wedding because of whatever I wasn't sitting well with me, that it's not necessary to even go into it here. At that time was when I really wanted marriage because, hey, wow, to be a show, that kind of thing. Hey, also worry, yes, I'm going to say, you know, that kind of thing. So at the time, I would say, even if I had married, thank God I didn't, I would have still come out of it because of many reasons. That was when I really wanted marriage. Now, I was going in it for the wrong reasons because I felt like at the time I was going in it because Mautu. It was semi-mewari. But this one, it was just with the flow. He was very, is it persistent? He pursued me, regardless of what I came with. And him being a new dad around them, you know, they call him Papa. I told them to call him Papa because, from the beginning, because regardless, you still have a father. You know, there are people who would try and cut those. He's not willing to be in their life. That doesn't mean that. I call him a sperm donor, and I thank him for that. But as time went on, they willingly called him dad because I didn't want to force it on their throat. No. Regardless, blood is always blood. But as they did it because they wanted to, and that's what I wanted them to do, be comfortable enough to see him for who he was and who he is now as well, and be able to, you know, they formed that relationship, that kind of like they have that bond, their own special way. And when it comes to parenting, he trains them or instills he trains them in the way that he was brought up, in a very African home. And one thing that I was also looking at before I said that I was going to marry him was his background. How does he treat his parents? How does he treat his mom, his stepmom, whatever it is, how he treats his people around him? So we have to look at all that, not just the mere fact that, oh, because I wanted somebody who didn't have kids, so I was going to jump into it. No, there was a lot of things I studied, and with him, our conversations from the beginning wasn't. He always did we in the future, like it was we. He never like single. It was never singular to him. It was always we. What to say, even before we even decided that we would, So I'm saying this to say that, like, obi pewa, regardless what you come with, regardless, he just opel. And there are men out there, that would take on mothers, single moms. And it takes also the special grace of God to find a good man who truly loves you. Not just the shallow, Obeka, but Onye, there are people like that. But there are men who would say it and follow through. And like, I sit down, I watch my wedding pictures, my wedding videos. I never thought say video, to be honest with you. I just wanted to work, the kids, we move. But it changed by the grace of God. Now I have a family. Growing up, I didn't have a family. My mom was a single mom. So I had always wanted that family when I had my first 2 kids. But that didn't mean that, because, back in the day, our mothers would still stay in relationships in Kolaniti. That kind of conversation. Even it got to a point where I would get phone calls from aunties. No. I didn't care. It wasn't healthy for me. I didn't care what anybody said. As long as I had them, and I had prayed for them. I told God before 25, I wanted a boy and a girl. So it's like everything that I had said to God. And one thing I was sitting back the last time, and I was thinking, when I told God that I wanted kids before 25, I didn't say a husband to it. So maybe why? So when you are praying to God, be very specific. Be specific. Let him know. Maybe at the time, if I had said with a husband, I wouldn't have been a single mom. Who knows? But I love the journey because it's made me who I am. It's drawn a lot of people to me, a lot of people that I inspire. I'm very humbled. And every day I would say I give glory to God. Me and God, we can go way back. Me I kind of say, hey Papa, okay, time way. Me say. Now the Holy Spirit will say, but now you have, things like that. God is my best friend, honestly. I tell him everything, and I owe it all to him. Just a little advice that I would give single moms or mothers. Just everything that you do, just do it with good heart and good intentions. Everything. No matter what you're going through, no matter the situation, it's tough. It's tough to put yourself aside and be good to somebody. No one said, this is what you're going through. You are breaking down. You are at the lowest of your low. Always do things with good intentions, and the blessings will come back to you. It might take a long time, but definitely God, who sees in private, he always rewards his own.
This video was brought to you by Akua Mother Care. Great stuff for great kids.